Have you ever heard of the Tom Hanks effect? I doubt you would have, because I just made up the term. But I can assure you that it's a powerful approach for boosting sales, especially for e commerce businesses. And it centers around your branding strategy. Let's explore it together. Now, I wouldn't call myself a Hollywood film buff, and I certainly don't follow the Instagram feeds of any movie stars. But there is one star who I do secretly admire: Tom Hanks. Now, I know what you're thinking. He doesn't have the sophisticated good looks of George Clooney, the action movie physique of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the suave Bond-esque style of Sean Connery, or the elegant presence of Kate Blanchett, or even the laugh out loud humor of Adam Sandler. But here's what he does have: a genuine, sincere kindness. Put simply, he just seems like a good, honest guy. Now, that may not seem like such an impressive quality at first glance, but in the often narcissistic and, let's be honest, sometimes downright self destructive world of Hollywood, it stands out like a shag on a rock. I've always wanted to know what that phrase means, so I actually looked it up, and apparently a shag is a kind of bird that stands out against a rock face. Anyway, the point is that being nice stands out in Hollywood. And in case you think that might just be his movie persona and not his real personality, this New York Times article demonstrates that he's widely considered the nicest guy in Hollywood. But let's back up for a minute. Why am I telling you all this? And what on earth does this have to do with branding? You see, we all should know that to attract customers who are willing to pay premium prices for our products or services, we need to differentiate our business in some meaningful way. We need to stand out by being unique, different, and better in some relevant respect. And if we're not, why should anyone buy from us over the competition? This is critical for any business, but especially for e-commerce businesses who often rely on their website to do the heavy lifting in terms of converting prospects into customers. If their site doesn't clearly convey why someone should buy their product over others, they're dead in the water. Right? Low conversion rates lead to expensive advertising, which equals meager profits. It's a pretty simple formula. And that's why the best businesses craft a compelling differentiation strategy. Here's what that means. Number one, they are crystal clear on their target market. In other words, who are your best customers? What's their demographic and psychological profile? Right? Understand that's number one. Number two is then understanding their needs. What do they care about? What drives them? What bothers them? Once you've done that, you can then decide which needs you'll differentiate around. Right? Which needs can you meet better than anyone else? Are you the fastest, safest, highest quality, most reliable, most fun? That's number three. And then number four is to back up your differentiators with evidence. How will you justify your differentiation claims? Is it your online reviews? Is it your money back guarantees? Is it your celebrity endorsements? And so on. If you've answered those four questions for your business and the answers are reflected in your marketing and on your website, you're well on your way to standing out from the crowd. But let me let you in on a little secret. Boosting your conversion rate, especially for e-commerce businesses, actually requires an extra step. Have you noticed that there are some brands with which you connect more than others? Perhaps you feel a certain affinity and maybe a loyalty that you can't easily explain. Often, it's because they're using another type of differentiator, one that has nothing to do with their product quality, performance, money back guarantee, or any other specific feature or benefit they offer. At the risk of sounding overly dramatic, they've managed to hack your mind by leveraging what we call the science of brand archetypes. You see, we all have a set of basic human drives that motivate our behavior, right? Including drives like liberation or freedom, power, mastery, intimacy, enjoyment, sense of belonging, a sense of service or giving, control, innovation, or what you might call creativity, safety, understanding, freedom, and so on. And because we're all different, each of us is motivated more by some of these drives than by others. I might be driven by belonging, while you might be driven and motivated more by mastery, for example. Now, stay with me here because this is critical, right? Personality types will appeal more to us if they align with our core drives. For example, if safety is extremely important to me, I might resonate more with an honest, innocent, kind personality type rather than, say, an adventurous, powerful, or controlling one. On the other hand, if I'm into liberation and freedom, I might be drawn more to a carefree, free-spirited kind of personality. What does this all mean for marketing? It means this, that if you want to resonate with your target market, your brand needs to embody a personality, so to speak, that aligns with their unique drives. And when you do, you won't just be a commodity, you'll actually create a far deeper connection with your customers. And in fact, this is the heart and the secret of real branding, right? Branding isn't about your logo or your color scheme or your website design. To be sure, those are important expressions of your brand, but your brand itself runs much deeper, right? It's who you are. It's your personality. It's how you think, feel, and act, which is why the best brands in the world, the ones that elicit, that fanatical brand loyalty, embody a distinct personality that truly resonates with their target market. And that's precisely where the concept of brand archetypes comes in. Have you ever heard of the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung? He was a one-time student of Sigmund Freud. In his theory of the human psyche, Jung actually identified 12 universal personality archetypes that reside in what he called our collective unconscious, and they reflect the range of basic human drives. What's interesting about these for businesses is that each of us tends to have one archetype that dominates our personality, which means that if our business can then tap into the archetype that best resonates with the drives and personality of our target market, you know what's going to happen? We're going to build a deep level of connection that's hard to replicate. And that's why Mark and Carol Pearson, in their best-selling book, The Hero and the Outlaw, explain that archetypes are the heartbeat of a brand because they convey a meaning that makes customers relate to a product as if it were actually alive in some way. They have a relationship with it and they care about it. Now, drawing on Jung's research, here's a diagram depicting those 12 archetypes and the basic human drives they reflect. Have a look at it and ask yourself, which archetype resonates most with you? You can see here that if you start on the top, you've got basic drives around innovation, for example, and that relates to the creator archetype. You've got drives around safety, which relates to what's called the innocent archetype. You've got drives around seeking knowledge, which relates to the sage archetype. Freedom drives relate to the explorer archetype, and again, so on as we move right around this circle. Have a look and ask yourself, which one connects most with you? What I'd like to do with you is just briefly in this video, explore a few of these archetypes with some illustrations to bring it to life. Let's take the jester archetype, for example. The jester is driven by experiencing pleasure, enjoyment, fun. They want to have a great time and they want to lighten others up too, which is why you'll find them playing, joking around, and generally being funny. Think Jim Carrey or Adam Sandler. What's powerful about this persona from a branding perspective is that even if you're not a full-blown jester personality, everyone likes to laugh. So if you're in the entertainment business or you want to associate your brand with fun and good times, The jester personality can be a really memorable point of differentiation. By way of example, from a business perspective, think Old Spice or Dollar Shave Club. Again, here's an example of a kid who's received a shaving set for Christmas. Or Bundaberg rum. In fact, the very first Dollar Shave Club video ad was so funny that it went completely viral and entirely underpinned their business success. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. The link's below. Another archetype is the artist, or sometimes called the creator. This creator, the desire of the creator is to innovate, to create something of value that perhaps didn't exist previously. They need to express their unique talent to bring their vision to life. Think of the artistic genius Mozart, for example, as portrayed in Amadeus, or the master tinkerer Tony Stark from Iron Man, or even the inventor Emmett Brown, affectionately known as Doc from Back to the Future. Now, this archetype is popular among art, design, technology, and marketing brands. Their products and services empower their customers to be creative, right? They foster their imagination and self-expression by really celebrating that creative process. Apple, for example, epitomizes this archetype. If you've never watched the ad that launched Apple's classic Think Different campaign, I'd highly recommend it. It's a great example of this archetype, and it's just a great ad in general. Or take Lego. Their brand is focused on building, creating, and fostering imagination, especially among children. If you haven't seen it, watch their inspiring ad to see what I mean. You'll see the link there for you. One more example is the everyman archetype, or every person, to be more accurate. This personality has a deep desire to belong. They don't seek attention. They're not trying to stand out. They're just friendly, honest, humble, relatable, genuine people who want to be part of the group like everyone else. And in wanting to belong and get on with others, they treat everyone with dignity and respect. This archetype is often used by brands that relate to everyday activities like home or family life. And through honest, humble, friendly, and down-to-earth communication that doesn't exclude, these brands make people feel a sense of belonging and acceptance. IKEA, Levi's, or Target, for example, are prominent examples of this type of archetype. For instance, IKEA makes quality, simple, affordable household furniture that's available to everyone. Indeed, their mission is to provide quality to everyone, regardless of whether they're a CEO or a cashier. Everyone gets exactly the same treatment. Check out this IKEA commercial to see how its powerful messaging relates to the average person. Again, you've got the link there. And by the way, Levi's is no different, right? Everyone gets great quality jeans, regardless of who you are. Now, those are just a few examples of archetypes. And as you can see, there are 12 of them. And the challenge for you is to choose the archetype that's most relevant to your customers and your business. But to be honest, it's not enough to simply choose an archetype. You'll need to map out the full breadth of your brand personality with a clear outlook on life, beliefs about the world, a unique tone of voice, visual identity, and so on. Only the creation of that kind of full-fledged personality will enable you to build connection with the authenticity and humanity of a real person, right? How do you do that? There's a few steps. Number one, choose your brand archetype. So considering your target market and what drives them, which archetype would resonate most strongly with them? And to help you bring it to life, see if you can identify which Hollywood actor best embodies your chosen personality. Number two, brand purpose. Why is your brand in existence? What impact do you want it to have on your customers and the world, right? Clarifying your why is critical to help people understand your brand's underlying mission. When customers feel that your brand is about more than simply making money, when they feel that it aligns with a more meaningful purpose, you're much more likely to foster deep loyalty and connection. Number 3, brand values. What attitudes and behaviors will underpin how you operate? How will your brand think and act with customers and within your business? Values act a bit like a compass, right? Guiding your brand towards its purpose. And they help customers understand what to expect when interacting with you. And when you act in alignment with those values, it really starts to build trust and brand advocacy. 4, brand voice. What tone of voice, what language will you use to communicate with your target market? Considering the archetype that resonates best with your customers, what kind of tone and words would best express that personality? Your communication style is really key to an authentic, aligned personality. 5, how will your typography, your logo, your color palette, your image style, and graphic design give expression to your brand personality? This is your visual identity. And this is where you translate a theoretical personality into something tangible, something visual. And again, alignment is key to creating a real believable persona. And 6, what will you say to ensure your target market understands your persona and positions your brand correctly in their mind? And how might you express this in an engaging story? This is about your brand messaging and story. Interestingly, research shows that people remember stories far more effectively than facts. And the most engaging stories, from biblical Moses right through to Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, follow variations of a powerful storytelling framework. It's called the hero's journey. Consider these components of the hero's journey when creating your brand story. Start with the existing world, which is all about how your target market currently lives their lives, right? Then what's the obstacle? What's the problem or problems that they currently face? Next is your call to action, right? This is the final straw before taking action. What is it in their lives? And then who's the guide? In this case, your brand, that's going to help them out of and overcoming their current obstacle. And then what's the challenge that stands in the way of their success? Right? And finally, what does the transformation look like? How will they change as a result of interacting with your brand? Right? That's the hero's journey, and it's really powerful to map that out for your customers. Once you've mapped out your personality in detail, it's time to put your brand to work, which means applying those 6 points to every touch point in your customer's journey, from your website and packaging to your social media and your sales process. You see, often people start and end their branding with these components. Yet, as you can see, they're actually the last step in the process and should give full expression to a clear, authentic personality that deeply resonates with your target market. And when you do that, you'll be much more likely to build customer connection, loyalty, and of course, sales. Oh, and in case you're wondering which brand personality Digital Autopilot aligns with, well, we're hell-bent on supporting the average Aussie business owner who's just trying to grow their business and sustain themselves and their family. And we do it with what we believe is down-to-earth honesty and genuine care, which means we're for every man, or every business in our case, just like Tom Hanks. Thanks very much, and good luck applying this in your business.